Fish Pond Mind Reading Technique+Group Pet+Mary Su Wan Fan+Redemption+Shura Field+Shuangwen, Anya entered a popular entertainment book and became the male lead's deceased adopted sister with the same name and surname. The female protagonist in the novel lacks love from a young age and is extremely eager for the care and love of others. After entering the entertainment industry, the female protagonist pretended to be ignorant and pure with her strength, healing and saving various bigwigs, and eventually became a huge fan, successfully winning the 3 Best Actress Grand Slam. And her male lead brother is just a background male lead, who has never established a relationship with the female lead until the end of the story. After putting on a book, Anya looked at the handsome male lead with a strong hatred and said, "You look quite smart. How could you be framed and sent to jail soon? It's infuriating for your parents." The unjust male protagonist has evolved from a clear college student to an 8-faced and delicate stingy heir. Anya looked at her wealthy friend who bravely entered the entertainment industry after her love and choked her head, saying, "What's the point of love being humble? A scumbag is planning how to eat you to the bone." A friend from a wealthy family slapped the scumbag on the side and gave him a national meal. He also evolved from being foolish and sweet to being a boss. A member of a popular male band was dug up late at night to do a live broadcast on the sidelines, with a well-known director from Sanjin running naked in the middle of the night, and a CEO who made decisive decisions being falsely accused of forcing his stepmother and a talented composer to act as a human. sonAnya gritted her teeth and couldn't bear it anymore. "I can't see it anymore. I'm going to take action unconsciously." Anya took over the female protagonist's fish pond, and even the female protagonist and a group of wealthy heirs voluntarily threw themselves into the pond, doting on her. Chapter 1. Consequences Caused by an Ant. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Anyeni, if you dare to step out of this house today, then don't come back in the future. Anya, who was sleeping soundly in bed, was frightened by such a sentence and fell into a sit-up. She looked around in confusion. Where is this? If you don't come back, you won't come back. You've been ignoring me since I was young, and now you've grown up to take care of 3 or 4 things. I'm not your pet. The argument outside is still ongoing and there are signs of it turning white hot. Anya got out of bed in confusion and opened the door, walking towards the light source, feeling confused about the luxurious and unfamiliar environment here. Downstairs, a pair of people suspected to be father and son were confronting each other, with several men and women dressed in servant clothes next to them trying to ease the atmosphere. She stood silently in the dark eavesdropping, constantly filling her mind with information. In no time, she could figure out what the current situation was. She wore the background of the male lead's early death as a foster sister in a career article she recently read. She dominates the entertainment industry. Someone got into a car accident wearing a book, someone died of illness wearing a book, someone saved someone wearing a book. Anya is a bit peculiar. She accidentally stepped on an ant while trying to save someone, causing her to wear a book. Due to health reasons, I have been reminded by my family elders since childhood to do more good deeds. She followed suit and lived to graduate from college, sickly and crooked. A slip that killed the life of an ant resulted in its death. Now, looking at the 2 people arguing below, she remembered the plot from the book. Tonight, the male lead had an argument with his father and eventually slammed the door and left. Coincidentally, the male lead's adopted sister suddenly fell ill and was taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. The condition came urgently, and the younger sister's health was already poor, so the rescue ultimately failed. My adopted sister wants to see the faces of her loved ones at the last moment. During the rescue time, the adoptive mothers who were far away in the neighboring city hurriedly rushed back. The couple kept calling and texting the male lead, hoping that he could come and see the original owner for the last time. The male protagonist on his head was drinking at a bar when he saw his father calling him and angrily turned off his phone. Raising a younger sister didn't last long, and she breathed a sigh before dawn. During this period, the male protagonist met someone who talked about his feelings everywhere, and the two naturally became friends. The male protagonist got drunk and was taken home by his friend after dawn. He slept until it was dark and only found out his sister had passed away when he opened his phone again. The male protagonist hurriedly rushed home, but the alcohol smell and wrinkled clothes on his body caused strong dissatisfaction from his parents, and they erupted into another argument. The male lead felt both guilty and angry. After the funeral of his adopted sister, he felt ashamed to face his family and ran away from home. He, who was alone outside, was tricked by someone to provide a gathering place for drug abuse and sent to prison. His parents wanted to find out the truth, but suddenly died in the study late at night. After being released from prison, the male protagonist felt extremely guilty and began to engage in self-destructive behavior. However, he persisted in seeking truth and justice until the female protagonist recovered and his condition improved. Anya silently supported her forehead, feeling sad and urging for her dog-like life. One death is not enough. If you want me to die twice, play with me. She has memories of the original owner, and whether it was the death of the original owner or the death of her foster parents, it revealed something was wrong. This is a conspiracy against Anya. Yaya. Why did you come out? Are you feeling unwell? One of the parties involved in the argument, Unmentioned, noticed the movement in the stairwell and quickly inquired. The person who just spoke harshly and coldly towards their son softened their expression and tone when they turned their head. Anya, who was caught, let out a soft cough in discomfort. Before she could figure out what to say to smooth things out, a few people over there rushed over quickly. Cheap Dad carefully put on her suit jacket and said, "I'm coughing. Hurry up and go back to your room to rest. It's cool at night." I immediately thought that my daughter was probably awakened by their voices. "Sorry, did your brother and I disturb you with our conversation? We're not arguing anymore. It's not early, so your fever has subsided and you need to rest." She dare not leave directly. Tonight is her point of death. Let's leave the male lead behind first. She didn't reply, but shifted her gaze to the last side of Anyeni. Just after the fever subsided, the girl's eyes were slightly red, with tears streaming down her face, looking pitiful. "Brother, my big brother, don't go out. There are bad people staring at you outside. My life is now on you." Little sister Anyeni was stunned, and his younger sister didn't open her mouth to speak. Did he hallucinate? Anya saw that he didn't react and quickly shouted, "Brother. Tisk, why does he look foolish? Forget it, no matter what, he's my lifeline now. Root of life. I'm sorry about that." And Anyeni felt the warmth on her face and instinctively nodded. Seeing that he agreed to Anya's satisfaction, he followed the tone of the original owner. "Thank you, Dad and brother. Hurry up and rest, too. Staying up late is not good for your health. Good night. I need to find a chance to check on Brother Silly's room later." Both of them agreed, and Anya was taken back to her room by a maid. And Anyeni, who thought she was too tired and had hallucinations, returned to her room in a daze. Unmentioned stood in place, looking at his son's back and sighed wearily. His son has become increasingly irritable since graduating from college. Every time I want to have a peaceful conversation with my son, I always end up unhappy. Thinking that his son's attitude towards his daughter was relatively normal, he planned to find a time for his daughter to inquire about his son's situation. Anya, who returned to the room, lay in bed waiting for the outside to completely quiet down. However, her body, which had suffered a serious illness, couldn't tolerate her restlessness. She just closed her eyes for a moment, and when she opened them again, it was the next day. And Anyeni, who had been waiting in the room for an hour but couldn't bring anyone, yawned. "Indeed, I had a hallucination. Let's rest early." One night passed, and Anya was awakened by the maid's call. She was dazed for a while before remembering about wearing a book. Anya has always had a rule, which is to eat on time. Unmentioned, who came out of the army, adheres to one philosophy. People are iron, but rice is steel. Eating regularly and exercising regularly to maintain good health is the foundation of human beings. Except for special circumstances, whether it's sleeping in or staying up all night, as long as we settle down, we must eat together on time. Anya, who has always been sickly, strongly agrees with this concept. Anya went downstairs, and two people were already sitting at the table. One person sits in the main seat, and the other person sits at the end. On the main seat, Dad wears gold-framed glasses and a tight-fitting dark blue suit. He looks elegant and cultured, but he is actually someone who works in the business district, with a calm and powerful aura all around him. And Yenny is dressed in a simple shirt and pants, with a delicate appearance but not a hint of femininity. Despite appearing aloof after graduating from college, he is actually late for puberty and has only recently arrived. Take a closer look at his dark and blue eyes, and see if he dares to go out and play at night in the future. Good morning, Dad and brother. The two people, who were originally expressionless, looked up together and greeted her with a smile. Good morning, Yaya. This father and son already have some resemblance in appearance, but now their movements are consistent and they look even more similar. Upon noticing this, Yenny's face suddenly cooled down and she lowered her head to continue tapping her phone. Anya looked at this rebellious older child and felt a resentful attitude towards him. My brother looks quite smart. Why was he framed by bad people during his rebellious period and sent to jail for food? After his parents died suddenly in the study, he actually believed that those who had a bad mouth thought he was trying to settle down with others. And Yenny's tapping froze, and she looked up at her sister and father incredulously. Eating a prison meal. My parents died suddenly. Kushuran's family. Am I not resting enough? The two unresponsive individuals plunged Yenny into a state of deep self-doubt. The female protagonist is a fan of nature, with both men and women eating the same dish. Her golden fingers are huge and illogical, and the original protagonist is the female protagonist. In addition to being red, the female protagonist has a unique golden finger. This is probably a story of doing good every day. The female lead will have her own career line. The fish in the original book's female protagonist's fish pond equals helping her golden finger. Chapter 2. Mental illness. Reading the mind. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. After eating and drinking, Juanda left first to go to work at the company. The age difference between the original owner and Yenny is several months. They have just graduated, but due to health issues, their whole family strongly requests them to become unemployed vagrants. Yenny is preparing for entrepreneurship and sometimes has to go out all day. Anya picked up the cornhuaishan juice at hand and sat next to Yenny. Brother, can you accompany me today? Anya hugged Yenny's arm and swayed coquettishly. The original owner was a well-behaved and caring child since childhood, and the relationship between the two was very good. If nothing unexpected happens, he usually agrees to Anya's request. Yenny actually had a good meal long ago and had planned to go out to find friends, but he kept thinking about the words he had just heard. He is certain that he is sick and still has the kind of auditory hallucinations. Anya felt anxious when she saw that he didn't react. The rebellious male lead is really stupid. No wonder he was tricked so badly in the early stages. Well, let me use my trump card. She pouted and skillfully began to act pitifully and coquettishly. Brother. Just promise me. I've been sick lately and you haven't been with me much. I feel so lonely at home alone. Here we go again. What male lead? It's not a novel. Yenny agreed to Anya's request. Okay, I'll accompany you today, but we need to go to the hospital for a check-up. Anya's eyes lit up with a sweet smile and she said, that's settled. Thank you, brother. Going to the hospital. Do you want to help me check my body? This is great. This auditory hallucination is so fake. Yaya has been in poor health since childhood and going to the hospital is a common occurrence. As a result, she has a negative perception of the hospital and even has some rejection. His idea is actually correct. In her previous life, Anya was also a sickly child, so she disliked hospitals just like the original owner. But Anya suspected that the original owner had been drugged to cause fever or even death. Even if Anya didn't mention it, she probably would find an excuse to go to the hospital for a check-up. Also, the business of settling down is not small, and the Yen family behind her adoptive mother Yen Suya also has some influence. How could such a family be sniped down in just a few months? Saying there are no ghosts may make even ghosts think it's fake. Anja definitely has an insider present. After she finished breakfast, Yenny took her to the hospital. Suffering from mental illness is a big or small matter, and he cannot let others know. Arriving at the hospital, Anya was taken away by the nurse. Yenny quickly walked to her friend's office, where a professional doctor was already waiting. After a series of examinations and tests, the doctor came up with a conclusion without any problems. Yenny sat in her friend's office, lost in thought as she looked at the stack of inspection reports in front of her. Not long after, the office door was opened and a man in a white coat walked in and sat across from him with great enthusiasm. "What's wrong with you? Why did you come here for a mental health check? Did you do a good job of suppressing your child excessively and finally leading to psychological abnormalities?" The man joked about Yenny, but his expression was quite serious. Faced with the concern of her older brother who grew up together, Yenny didn't dare to say anything specific, just vaguely asked. "Jingyun, what do you think is going on when a person hears some strange words but no one is talking around?" Yen Jingyun frowned slightly, clasped his hands together, and pondered for a moment. Someone deliberately pretended to be a ghost and set up a game. Yenny shook her head and denied the possibility. "No, there are familiar people around, but it seems that no one else can hear." Upon hearing his words, Yen Jingyun's brow furrowed even tighter. He bent down and picked up Yenny's report, carefully examining them one by one. In the quiet room, there was only the sound of Yen Jingyun flipping through the paper. Finally, he put the report on the desk. "You're not a problem, it's probably a hallucination caused by some recent stress." He looked at the person across from him with a worried expression, relieved him. "Nowadays, the environment is different from my parents, and entrepreneurship carries risks. Even if this failure doesn't prove anything, you need to adjust your mindset appropriately." Yenny let out a long sigh and turned to look at the potted plant next to her. "Do you think I'm conflicted?" He had a somewhat empty and bewildered expression, completely lacking the vividness of last night's argument with his father. "I don't want to be accused of relying on my own parents and starting from scratch like they do. The more you understand the existing market and your own strength, the more you realize that you may never surpass your parents' achievements in your lifetime." He lowered his eyes and said, even starting to be incompetent and furious, he was already like a failure before he even started. Yen Jingyun understood his thoughts. "As a member of the Yen family, from the moment I have memories, there has been a constant stream of people around me who please him because of this identity, and many people have praised him because of his high status. This feeling is like being covered by a big net. You know you're trapped, but you can't break free no matter how hard you try." He is still better, with many relatives of the same generation. As the only son, Yenny is likely to face greater pressure. Yen Jingyun poured him a cup of tea and continued to persuade him, "Perhaps you can lower the attention of people around you to your opinions, after all, life is your own." He raised his white coat. "Look at me, I used to think about founding a globally renowned hospital to impress everyone, but now I'm not following the rules and practicing in my own hospital." Yen Jingyun leaned against the sofa and tried to persuade him in a relaxed tone. "Although sometimes I encounter people who have a bad breath and really want to stuff them with food, in fact, these people often have little impact on my life." Yenny remained silent and drank tea. Yen Jingyun sighed in his heart. His cousin is still too young and stubborn, and he is afraid of hitting a nail in the future. The silence indoors did not last long, and Anya hurriedly knocked on the door and entered. "Brother. I've been poisoned. You need to help me." "What?" And Yenny was surprised. "Has he started hallucinating again?" Anya didn't know what cheap brother was thinking, so she buried herself in his arms with a report and rubbed all the eye drops she had just dropped on him to show her true feelings. Her eyes were red, her eyelashes were moist with water vapor, and her nose twitched, looking greatly aggrieved. Yen Jingyun was the first to react. He quickly took the report from Anya's hand and read it at a glance. "Sleep sedatives. Yaya's illness doesn't require these medications. Yes, it's really malicious. No wonder in the plot, rescue efforts fail and one dies. Can this sleeping sedative be taken indiscriminately?" Yen Jingyun looked up at Anya. And Yenny held on to her sister's hand and paused. "Here we go again. What rescue failed? Why does he always hear words related to human life? Moreover, I don't know if his hallucinations have worsened, but I always feel that my sister's tone is inexplicably excited. Anya is indeed quite happy. She is worried about how to make the family vigilant and check the people around her. Now it's good, it really takes no effort to get it." Suddenly, Anya felt that her brother's reaction was wrong. Why hasn't he reacted? Are you scared? Can you do it, little brother? For the sake of my and my parents' lives, can you stand up? And Yenny looked at her sister up close, and upon hearing these words, she noticed that her eyes were also filled with confusion and excitement. In a flash of lightning, an idea came to his mind. "Hearts, this is my sister's innermost words." After realizing that the voice she heard might be her sister's innermost thoughts, and Yenny suddenly became alert. "So their family has been targeted. Will my sister and parents be killed by someone after that? Impossible. Their family didn't do anything wrong. And Yenny's life has been smooth from childhood to adulthood, with loving parents, caring and lovely younger sister, and righteous brothers and friends. He and the original owner are both people soaked in honey jars, protected very well by their loved ones. That's why he's so easy to get to the bottom of things. And Yenny in the plot paid a heavy price to fully grow up and become a decisive CEO. But now for someone who lives in the sunshine and has not been exposed to darkness, they will subconsciously deny such things. There are always bad people in the world. They may be trying to plunder the wealth of others, or they may simply want to do evil, and in the face of various people, they can only raise their vigilance. Anya glanced at this person and thought he couldn't accept being poisoned. TSK, my brother really looks like a clear college student. By the way, if I hadn't woken up last night, I probably would have died according to the plot. Upon hearing these words, and Yenny's eyes widened and two eyeballs were about to pop out. Yen Jingyun naturally looked at his cousin and cousin with different expressions. "Yaya, your physical examination report is not comprehensive enough. For the sake of your health, I will accompany you to do other tests for safety reasons." Heart tired, such a piece of evidence is not enough. Doing tests is so boring. But she knew Yen Jingyun was right, and for the sake of her fragile life, she agreed without saying a word. And Yenny was so shocked by her death prediction that she couldn't speak for a moment. By the time he regained his senses, Anya had already been taken away by Yen Jingyun. "No. Are you just ignoring me like this?" Chapter 3. The first fish of the female lead. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Yen Jingyun conducted a series of tests on common toxins with Anya. After Anya finished cooperating, Yen Jingyun took her into the nearby lounge. He looked at the person beside him without leaving a trace, pondered for a moment, and asked. "Yaya, who is responsible for your recent diet?" Anya tried hard to search through the memories of the original owner and confirmed, "It's still those people, but I fell ill a few days ago and it wasn't until last night that my fever subsided." "Has anything strange happened around you?" "Strange thing? Are you asking the suspicious person from Anne's family?" "You're making things difficult for me, fat tiger." The novel is from the perspective of the female protagonist, and the intersection between the male and female protagonists occurs in the middle of the novel. Apart from the male protagonist, all members of the An family have died, and even the truth is only revealed by the male protagonist when he is moved by the female protagonist. Anya shook her head and said, "I can't think of it." From the perspective of the female lead, there are limitations to what Yaya knows. Yan Jingyun found out successfully and nodded to Anya, "I will tell my aunt and them about today's situation. You can rest assured." Anya's original wandering mind was suddenly pulled back. She nodded obediently and said, "Okay, please, Brother Jingyun. It's best to give my rebellious older brother a good lecture and let him see the cruelty of the world, so that I can rest assured." Rebel period, so big, is this talking about Yan Yi? The polite smile at the corner of Yan Jingyun's mouth deepened. "I didn't expect this little cousin to look obedient and quiet on weekdays, with so many words in her heart." And Yenny followed her sister's heart to find this lounge. "Brother, I finally found you." And Yenny bared her teeth and stared at Yan Jingyun. Seeing Anya looking at him next to her, her expression changed and she became a good brother who cared about her sister. "Yaya, are you okay? Is there any discomfort in your body?" Anya shook her head and said, "I'm fine, brother. You've been in a daze just now." Indeed, the male lead who has not been blackened is a weak chicken. He looks like this now, and the female lead probably doesn't even look up to him. Yan Jingyun raised his eyebrows slightly. After the plot, there are also male and female leads. He looked at this cousin calmly. He has a good appearance, but judging from a social perspective, he is not a good match. Unemployed, childish, innocent. These shortcomings are quite fatal to adults. And Yenny has a constipated face when she hears her sisters roast to her. Anya didn't understand why he showed this strange expression, but she still held his hand and let him sit on her other side. And Yenny is sad because of her sister's roast. Anya simply has nothing to say. Yan Jinjian is thinking about Anya's words. The three of them fell silent for a moment. Anya's thoughts were once again wandering aimlessly. "By the way, Yan Jingyun's name is a bit familiar. I remember, isn't this the fish in the female protagonist's fish pond?" Yan Jingyun's eyes paused. "Fish." And Yenny paused her sadness and began to listen attentively. "Fish is also a golden finger. Yan Jingyun is the first fish in the female protagonist's fish pond, providing her with resources and connections, but she disappeared for some reason afterwards. The female lead was still a stunt double in the early stages, and Yao Weiya had many injuries on her body. She was brought here for treatment by her best friend, but there was an accident. Yan Jingyun saw the female lead taking off her clothes. The female protagonist has great charm. As the saying goes, this belly-black monster takes a liking to her and teases her in various ways when she meets her, not to mention, the early description was quite sweet, like a playful scene between young people. The two of them dated for a period of time, which made everyone think he was the male lead. Unfortunately, the female protagonist seemed indifferent to him and used Yan Jingyun's power to obtain an S.level script's third female resource before breaking up, officially embarking on her path of mass destruction in the entertainment industry. And Ye quietly peeked at An Yenny beside her, her eyes filled with hidden pity. "This is a better licking dog than my brother. At least he has dated the female lead before. My silly male lead is a tragic licking dog who never ended up with the female lead." The corners of An Yenny's mouth, which had originally been raised, were pulled down again. "We may need some distance between us. Why do you keep dragging me out and stomping on me?" Yan Jingyun lowered his head and closed his eyes, pretending to relax and pinching his furrowed eyebrows, as if there were 100,000 grass mud horses running in his heart. "What kind of ghost plot are these? I am the most familiar with hospital regulations and rules. When there is a patient, there will be corresponding nurses accompanying me. How could I possibly wander into the room and see the patient changing clothes? Am I still so childish? Still teasing people?" Yan Jingyun didn't know what magical encounter Anya encountered, and became able to see the future. At least those words just now, he thinks they must be inaccurate. His mind is now filled with artificial chase scenes. Yan Jingyun suddenly stood up and looked at the two of them. I'll go check on the situation at the laboratory. You guys go home first, and I'll tell my aunt and uncle about this. My gaze swept over my cousin who nodded obediently, and stayed on his silly cousin's face. TSK, his little cousin is not wrong. This cousin is really foolish. Later, at his aunt and uncle's place, add some ingredients to his innocent and lovely cousin. And Yenny's heart was furrowed by Yan Jingyun's inexplicable smile. But before he could ask, Yan Jingyun waved his hand and left towards them. The two of them had nothing to do but go home. Due to the poisoning of his younger sister, Yan Jingyun took her out for lunch and dinner, staying by her side even at home. The two siblings had just finished their meal outside and returned home when the sound of hurried footsteps came from far to near. As soon as they turned around, they were hugged by someone. Yaya, my dear, you've suffered a lot. Smelling the familiar and pleasant aroma, a figure appeared in her mind. Mom. Mom, I'm so old now, don't just hug me casually. And Yenny was half coquettish and half complaining. Yen Suya gave her son a weak glare and released her grip on him. Okay, then don't argue with your father. Jingyun has told me that if you really grow up, you won't have such a temper. Anya nestled on Yen Suya, smiling as she watched her brother being trained like a frustrated little dog. Anya doesn't know why, but she always naturally acts coquettishly and gets close to the An family. It's probably because the An family is really good, they love the original owner and Yenny with their hearts. Anya is both enjoying and ashamed, and she doesn't know where the original owner went, but she will definitely help reverse the ending of the An family. Not long after An's mother trained here, another An's father walked into the dusty area outside. After calming down, Yenny also knew that it was his fault for arguing with his father last night. So he obediently walked up to Anjuanda and apologized. Anjuanda's cold and sharp eyes suddenly eased when he learned that his daughter had been drugged. He patted his son's shoulder and said, "Go to the study, it's more convenient to talk over there." He said this not only to his son, but also to his wife and daughter. A few people arrived at the study, and neither Anjuanda nor Yen Suya directly asked about their family matters. Instead, they arranged their itinerary for the two little ones. Yen, I know you want to start a business, but the current environment is not good. Why don't you come to the company to study for a period of time before making plans? As Anjuanda spoke, he typed his son on his phone to explain the reason. And Yenny also knew the seriousness of the matter, and without saying a word, she agreed. In elegant words. Anya looked expectantly at Anjuanda. It's my turn. Although I don't know much, I will work hard. And Yenny frowned and disagreed with her sister's involvement. She was in poor health and almost died. No matter what he thought, he didn't want his sister to come into contact with this matter. Obviously, the other two also have this idea. Anjuanda pondered for a moment and said, "It seems that the child from the G family is going to play on which program? Why don't Yaya go there and play? She will appear in front of the public on the show, and those who want to take action against her will also have concerns." Anya. Who? I don't want to leave home, I can help. She wanted to persuade them, but before the words of persuasion could be spoken, the fact that she had just recovered from her poor health was mentioned. By the way, she was the one who was drugged, she was the one with poor health, and she was the one who didn't understand company affairs. The best weakness for Anja to overcome is not in Yenny, but herself. So she will be targeted if she stays at home. It's heartbreaking. I thought I wasn't the Dragon King, but the truth is that I'm a crispy sausage. When she thought about being awakened last night, there might be someone in the dark who was staring at her and trying to poison her to death. Anya's body trembled. She, who was listless, was packed and sent away by the three of her family early the next morning. And Yenny couldn't bear to see her sister like this, so she leaned in her ear and whispered before leaving. You have already been very helpful. If it weren't for your physical examination and discovering problems, we would still be in a passive state now. Now that we all know, even if we can't avoid others' calculations, we will definitely take a big bite out of them. His slightly harsh words reassured Anya a lot. Woo-woo, truly worthy of being the male lead. I am so pleased that he has grown so fast, and Yenny. No, we really need some distance between us. I am your brother. Generations cannot be chaotic. But this is his inner voice, and he cannot speak directly. And Yenny watched angrily as her younger sister was escorted by a bodyguard into the car and left home. Regarding the voice of the female lead, Yen Jingyun remained in an observational state and had no intention of telling Yenny that he could hear his thoughts. He just wanted to see when he would notice Yenny. I want to eavesdrop on my sister's inner thoughts and see how she thinks of me. Currently, I feel that I can hear Anya's inner thoughts and am the miraculous son chosen by heaven. Chapter 4. Love Brain 1000 Gold. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Anya looked at her brother standing at the doorstep in the car, and only then did she straighten her body when the car turned and couldn't be seen. Due to a last-minute decision, she was sent directly to the recording site. Make friends. Celebrities. This program invites celebrities and insiders from different age groups, genders, and identities. The main content is to gather strangers in the community to make friends, causing them to collide and showcase some of their daily private lives, satisfying the curiosity of the public and fans. Each major guest will bring one or two relatives or friends to participate together, in order to alleviate the atmosphere and increase conflicts. The entire program is live broadcast, with the aim of pursuing real reactions and using private life as a gimmick. In fact, even without a script, there will be a rough schedule to avoid excessive and boring live streaming. And everyone is an insider in the industry, except for a few who don't care. Others will play their own character well even without a script. Today is the first day of broadcasting. Anya appeared as the best friend of a wealthy girlfriend of a certain frontline actor. There's no need for her to do anything, just be a supporting role for fishing in troubled waters. The actress's wealthy girlfriend is called Ji-Erin. Unfortunately, Anya was extremely impressed by this name. If Yen Jingyun is the first fish of the female lead, then Ji-Erin is the second fish of the female lead. The Ji family not only helps the female lead but also the male lead. They extended a helping hand to the male lead without hesitation after their parents died. They presented the materials they had worked hard to obtain to the court, reducing the male lead who was supposed to be imprisoned for 3 years to 1.5 years. After the male lead was released from prison, they provided various forms of assistance, allowing him to successfully start a business and find the truth about the death of An's family. The Ji family is very good, so Anya wants to help Ji-Erin get rid of scumbags. The recording took place in a luxurious apartment. Anya just got off the car when a camera was aimed at her not far away. The onlookers in the live broadcast room have emerged one after another. Wow! What a beautiful little sister. Oh my god, there's a black super bodyguard who opened the door after getting off the car. It's sour. Lemon fruit on the lemon tree, you, me, and him under the lemon tree. So where are my richest parents? Coincidentally, I also feel like I have a status as the son of a wealthy man. Now, I'm going to ask my dear mother if she's hiding her identity, so that I can end my experience of ordinary life. Puzzy. Upstairs, are you okay with your butt? Ha ha ha, I'm laughing to death. I'm going to have a meal of braised pork with rattan sticks. After Anya got off the car, a bright and elegant beauty walked out from the entrance of the apartment. The person who came is Ji. Yaya. Ji-Erin gently hugged Anya. Long time no see. I was unable to come to celebrate when you graduated from college. I'm sorry. Ji-Erin is several years older than her, and due to her father's relationship, the two families often interact, so the relationship is quite good. Anya shook her head and said, "It's okay, Irene. It's not an important matter. It's you who's in trouble." Love brain is really harmful. Irene blinked and didn't notice anyone around her talking. She thought she had heard wrong, so she didn't pay attention and took Anya upstairs. As soon as he entered, a handsome man greeted Anya with a fruit platter. "Hello Anya. My name is Xie Feiyan. Mentioned you before. Welcome to our small home." His straightforward words made Irene shyly walk over and lightly hit him, without refuting the statement. The people in the live broadcast room also went crazy. "Oh my god, does this mean we're getting married? I dare say this guy, he's at the peak of his career now, right? Amazing, although I don't fan him, I admire people who talk things over. You're still young, brother. Did Ji Zhuren force her to marry? Tell me. I'll organize people to rape her online now." "Crazy, you idiot. I reported the internet police. It's not like this, we serious fans wouldn't do this. We respect all of my brother's decisions. The one in front is Du Wei." Due to Xie Feiyan being an actor, even if his wedding intention is announced live, most of his fans do not feel any rejection. At most, the most touching words about handsome guys are about young men getting married early. Not long after, a few hot search terms appeared on a certain blog. Hashtag is Xie Feiyan's good news approaching hashtag marry into a wealthy family. Xie Feiyan personally admitted hashtag the content was mixed, but Xie Feiyan's studio did not respond in any way, allowing the media to speculate. The director of the production team laughed uncontrollably upon seeing these hot topics. Is this a hot search? No, this is the traffic of their program. A good start. Anya here was stuffed with a mouthful of dog food as soon as she entered the door. She only felt unlucky about this. Pooh. The scumbag guy is really shameless, but he's holding on to the girl's golden leg. Did he just say something about forced marriage? Sigh, even though she has been on Wall Street for 4 years and is a good investor, she has also received high praise in the business district. How could a good financial genius develop a romantic brain? Irene, who was hugged by her boyfriend, looked at Anya with a stunned expression. Xie Feiyan followed her gaze and saw Anya with an expressionless face, and immediately felt embarrassed to let go of his girlfriend. Sorry, this fruit platter is specially prepared for you. Come and eat it quickly, and I'll go to the kitchen to squeeze juice for you. The people in the live broadcast also joked about Anya eating dog food, and no one knew that she was simply disgusted. As soon as Anya sat down, Xie Feiyan, who was about to go to the kitchen, walked over to brush his presents in a daze. Sorry, I was too happy just now. It was my first time receiving Yi's friend and I forgot to ask if you have any taboos. Anya has no desire to talk to this person. She shook her head directly. No need to give me juice. Just plain water is fine, thank you. Okay. He looked at Irene again, is he asking for orange juice? I often see you drinking it. Well, Yun, don't be busy anymore. I remember there's a ready-made one in the fridge, just use that one directly. No way. I want to give you the best, I can't be lazy. Xie Feiyan finished speaking, as if afraid of Irene's persuasion, and quickly entered the kitchen. The demeanor of Xie Feiyan, a virtuous and kind man, made everyone in the live broadcast room exclaim, marrying a virtuous husband, what is the need for a wife? Anya quietly looked at Irene. Very good, looking at her coquettishness, Anya's hatred towards iron and steel surged again. This scumbag is truly an actor, he really knows how to act. If it weren't for me knowing that in 3 years, Irene would have been hurt by him, sad, and financially, and he would have really deceived her. Anya inserted a piece of fruit and chewed it with hatred, as if biting on the flesh of a scumbag to vent her anger. Angry Anya didn't even notice that the eyes of the person beside her became blurred with her inner voice. Ji-Iren recognized that the voice was Anya's, but it was clear that she was eating fruit. Ji-Iren looked around again, and the cameraman followed Yun to the kitchen. There were only a few staff members in the living room. But everyone is doing their own work, so those words just now were not fabricated by the production team. What is the situation? Many possibilities have emerged in Ji's mind. For example, the program team colluding with everyone to play pranks. For example, Anya knows ventriloquism. For example, she has hallucinations, etc. But all of these situations have been ruled out. One reason is that those words are too harsh as parody. Secondly, Anya's health is not good. Uncle An and his team won't make her bother learning this useless skill. The third is to have regular physical examinations at home, and doctors will definitely report any health problems they have. Iren, what's wrong with you? Are you tired? Do you want to eat fruit? Ji-Iren, who was lost in thought, was suddenly summoned back by Anya. And Yajing smiled and said to her, "This fruit is quite delicious, just as delicious as the fruits in your estate, Sister Irene." Speaking of which, Irene has been dating scumbags for half a year now, right? It's almost time for her to kindly propose to help him invest. In just 6 months, the principal has increased from 20 million to over 100 million. Sigh, I've dug up too few wild vegetables. I actually want to help a man earn money without taking a penny. This kind of thing is completely thankless and not pleasing. It's okay to make a profit, but who should be the one who loses? In fact, even though she helped the scumbag double his funds so much, he was still suspected by the scumbag, who was so narrow-minded that he might secretly deduct some of the money. Of course, the scum man doesn't dare to talk to her face, but only dares to roast to the mistress. The most abominable thing is that 3 years later, the adulterer and the adulteress designed Sister E to be their surrogate. Later on, the incident broke out, and even if Irene's sister sued and divorced the scumbag, it was of no use. The scumbag was too well prepared, and she trusted him too much. She didn't even look at any surrogacy contracts and signed them all. In addition, she never hides anything from the scumbag. In the end, the scumbag immigrated abroad with his mistress and children, holding a huge fortune. In order to maintain the stability of the group, Irene had to swallow the blood and hide the matter. Hee, is this a girlfriend? She's clearly a chicken that can lay golden eggs. She was even eaten clean with bones and meat by someone, so she's really good at being bullied. Ji-Iren was shocked and didn't care about the rest of the words. How did she know she wanted to help Feiyun invest? This idea only came to my mind in the morning, even my dad hasn't told me yet. Ji-Iren looked at Anya's sweet smile on her face, and an incredible and fitting idea faintly appeared in her heart. Is this Anya's voice? But even if it's her inner voice, why can she know what she's thinking in her heart? And the following words, what kind of mistress? How could Yun possibly have a mistress? Chapter 5. Unmentioned Hearts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ji-Iren's shock on her face was forgotten to be concealed, and she quickly put away her surprise and turned to a smile when she met Anya's curious gaze. You're really mouth-watering. This fruit was picked by Yun and I on our farm together. I didn't expect you to be able to taste it all. Anya gave her a sweet smile and remained silent. This is a landmark event. 3 years later, the female lead accidentally stumbled upon Xia Feiyun and Xiao San sticking together. She secretly filmed a short video and found a way to reveal this to Uncle Ji. Uncle Ji believed him on the spot, so angry that he muttered to himself and let the female lead hear him. He had already peeked at the scumbag while picking fruits with his girlfriend, and at first glance, he didn't look good at him. He even started looking for people to investigate the scumbag's background, but unfortunately Xia Feiyun came out of the kitchen and interrupted Anya's voice. Your orange juice. He handed another glass of water to Anya and gave her a shy smile. Sorry Anya, I'm not used to boiling water. I only have mineral water at home, so I'll just make do with it and let you drink it. Xia Feiyun's statement has sparked controversy among netizens in the live broadcast room. Scratching my head, why do so many people love to drink mineral water? Isn't it fragrant to boil it at home? You don't need to buy water, so much trouble. Amazing, worthy of 208, I only drink mineral water. Not at all, maybe some areas of water are not suitable for boiling and drinking directly. It's not like this, it's related to my brother's childhood experiences. Xia Feiyun seemed to be aware of the controversy in the live broadcast room and explained it on his own. I am an orphan from a backward mountainous area. When I was young, the welfare home was short of supplies, but the children had a big appetite and always couldn't eat enough. As he spoke, a helpless smile appeared on his face. We had no choice but to go up the mountain to find wild vegetables and fruits to eat. If we couldn't find them, we would pour water into the faucet and drink until our stomachs were too full before stopping. The cameraman probably thought this was a useful selling point and quickly brought it closer, focusing on capturing Xia Feiyun's face. Xia Feiyun was also very polite, revealing his best-looking angle with a bitter smile. I drank too much tap water, and now I feel a bit uncomfortable when I smell that smell. His words and the forced expression aroused the pitiful hearts of many people in the live broadcast room. It's pretty sad. I will never roast about Xia Feiyun's thin figure again. Me too, I used to dislike Xia Feiyun because he always looked like a weak scholar. I didn't expect there was another reason for that. Anya doesn't comment on this, but as she looks at him up close, she increasingly feels that this person's acting skills are really good. But now it's impossible to keep a cold face in this scene, so I have to hold back a comforting word. The people around him, Ge, had no reaction at all. In general, in this situation, Ge-ren, like the fans of Danmu, began to feel sorry for Xia Feiyun. But now Ge-ren is still pondering over what Anya just said, completely not listening to what he just said. Xia Feiyun said these words not only to sell herself to the public, but also to make Ge-ren love her more and deepen her emotions towards her. But he didn't expect the other person to have no reaction at all. Her eyes were out of focus, indicating that her mind was not here. He was not embarrassed either, gently holding Ge-ren's right hand and asking in a gentle voice. Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Ah. Ge-ren regained consciousness and bumped into Yun's caring and loving eyes, quickly shaking her head. It's okay, I was just thinking about some trivial matters. By the way, it's almost time for you to exercise. You go quickly, we can chat over here. When Xia Feiyun first became famous, he was always roast about his thin figure. Later, he has been exercising and improving. Nowadays, he is not thin at all, and can be considered thin when dressed and fleshy when undressed. However, his past impression and temperament have left the public's perception of him stuck in the early days of fame. Xia Yunfei frowned slightly and stared at Ge-ren with concern. Are you really okay? It's okay, go exercise now and don't disrupt your schedule. Okay, then. Xia Feiyun hugged Ge-ren and kissed her on the forehead, then picked up his phone and walked to the gym. The cameraman followed closely behind. After all, the main characters in this program are celebrities. But Anya doesn't care about this, she's more at ease without the camera. I used to be very angry when reading novels, and I didn't understand Ge-ren's love brain very much. But looking at it today, I still have some understanding. Xia Feiyun is very meticulous and has excellent acting skills. Even those trivial matters, he will explore them under the pretext of caring for you, making people feel that he really cares about you. What's wrong with such attention to detail and patience, but it's just for doing such a disgusting and deceitful thing. But when you think about him, after this scam, and finally obtaining money that could never be spent recklessly for several lifetimes, you can tell his mentality of staring at Ge-ren and not letting go. Anya is too lazy to think about these bad things for the time being. After all, I learned from my memory that Ge-ren is not an easy person to fool. If Xia Feiyun's bad words are unfounded, it will only cause Ji Yiren's displeasure and distrust, and she needs to consider in the long run. In the remaining time, Ji Yiren chatted absent-mindedly with Anya. In the afternoon, Xia Feiyun needs to go to the company to see the new script selected by the agent. The production team naturally followed the pass to shoot, and Anya and Ji Yiren left Xia Feiyun's home. The two families agreed to let Anya play with Ji Yiren for a few days, so Ji Yiren took Anya home. For the convenience of recording, Ji Yiren did not live at home, but in a villa in the city. At this moment, Ji Yiren was full of thoughts to go find her own father and verify whether what she heard from Anya was true. Coincidentally, Anya just recovered from her illness not long ago, coupled with her usual habit of taking a nap. After placing Anya, Ji Yiren ran with a solemn expression to find someone. Anya slept until dusk. When she woke up, she saw a dark figure sitting in a corner of the room, which frightened her and made goosebumps appear on her body. The other party was startled by the sound and slowly stood up to walk towards her side. Anya relied on the dim yellow sunlight to recognize the person in front of her, who was actually Ji. In just one afternoon, Ji Yiren suffered some kind of blow. My eyes were red, and I was completely listless. She came to the bedside and stared at Anya with struggling eyes. Yaya, tell me what you're going to eat tomorrow. Is this really true? Ah. Anya didn't understand why she had to put on such a life and death expression for breakfast, but she still obediently answered. Then I'll have a braised beef noodle. It's been a long time since I've had any delicious food. Ji Yiren raised her hand in panic and covered her throat. What's going on? I'm not asking this. I'm asking if you're still used to it today. Can your body still support tomorrow's activities? Where did you learn about the things you were thinking in your heart? Is it reliable? In order to increase the fun of the program team arranged for guests to play and cooperate around. Tomorrow is the arrangement for guests to go out and play with their families or friends. Fortunately, I'm fine with my health, Anya happily shared her feelings with her. To be honest, since I finished my illness a few days ago, I feel my body is getting better and better day by day. Huh, that's great. Congratulations. Ji Yiren pulled out a crying and smiling expression. She already understood that she couldn't even ask about her inner voice. That's right, being able to hear others' voices is already quite surreal. Thinking of what I had verified with my dad, my heart became unusually heavy. So, what Yaya said is true. No, isn't it already planned? Don't question your boyfriend just because of something that hasn't happened. Chapter 6. Destruction. Dismantling the venue. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 7. Irregulable Events. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. I'll just say that I felt something strange about Xia Feiyun's words just now. It seems like something's wrong, so it's here. Thinking carefully and fearfully, so Xia Feiyun always talks to Ji Yiren like this. Is this considered PUA? It's not that exaggerated, it's just a slip of the tongue. Don't use a new word everywhere just because you've learned it. That's it, what PUA? This is KTV. Passerby, but I feel that this little girl is so impolite and distorts others' words. A fellow traveler, she subconsciously thinks of people so badly, there's really no tutoring. Hee, can you change the name and avatar of Feiyun Powder before pretending to be a passerby? Kidich, upstairs, don't they want to? There are restrictions on renaming the software. I tried it out and it's true. I can only change 3 times a year, and members can change 10 times. 6. You Feiyun fans don't even want to pay a monthly membership fee of 10 yuan. You're really laughing at me. Oh, don't be so harsh. Maybe they're just underage children. Forgive them, after all, their bodies haven't fully developed yet. The guide, who has been following multiple live broadcast rooms of the program, quickly discovered an abnormality in one of the live broadcast rooms. He quickly contacted the staff on Xia Feiyun's side, who spoke out the incident in a few words. The director quickly turned around and reported it to the director. The director was somewhat surprised when he saw the person who caused the commotion. On the first day of yesterday's broadcast, the group led by Xia Feiyun received the most response, and unexpectedly, today came again. At first, the director didn't have much confidence in Xia Feiyun because he was too stable and peaceful. His acting skills are really good, he is a strong person and can barely be considered a top-tier star. But it's this kind of not being a demon and not having any gossip that makes the director not optimistic. Their program is just an A-level variety show that requires traffic. But the prices of popular celebrities are too expensive, and their budget is insufficient, so they have to choose a few controversial figures and a few outdated celebrities. I didn't expect Xia Feiyun, whom he used to gather numbers, to bring such a surprise to me. Firstly, it was announced to the public that they have a wealthy girlfriend, and then it was revealed that they want to marry a wealthy girlfriend, which has now sparked a hot and controversial topic. The director has a premonition that the upcoming trip is expected to be very lively. Don't worry, even if we let the event ferment, we need to speed up the video editing and remember to give Xia Feiyun a close up in the post-production. The anchor saw the director's excited expression and knew that there was a lot of heat to take advantage of, so he turned around and ran towards the later stage. Not long after, a few new entries were added to the hot search. #shocking. Xia Feiyun's character collapsed. #new. #a wealthy family's daughter is suspected to be PUA by a celebrity. #new. #excellent people should be with them. #new. The Xia Feiyun team is also paying attention to the internet, and as soon as they see these entries, they quickly find someone to reduce their popularity. What do you mean? Why can't we lower the heat? Xia Feiyun's agent asked the other party in surprise. The person on the other end of the phone was also very helpless. I can't do it either. I really can't take this order, no one in the circle dares to take it. The agent's mind spun and quickly understood the other party's meaning. No one dares to take it, indicating that someone has taken the initiative or even waited long ago, and this person is still something they cannot resist. The other party hasn't spoken to the agent for so long, thinking he should understand what the situation is now. I'll hang up for now if there's nothing else. The agent exclaimed, wait. We've been working together for so long, can't you give me some insider information? The other party let out a long sigh. After a moment of silence, he quickly said, you, an artist, have too much ambition. This has angered the boss. I advise you to prepare for the future. The phone hung up, and the agent stared at the phone screen with his mouth open, unable to digest the other person's words at all. Xia Feiyun has always been very careful and never caused much trouble for himself. Falling in love with the daughter of Qingzhou Group is his biggest scare. But they have been in love for half a year now, shouldn't they have been unhappy long ago? Why is it so sudden? Xia Feiyun's years of acting have made his agent subconsciously not take the word too ambitious advised by the other party seriously, underestimating the seriousness of the situation. The agent looked out at the team constantly typing the keyboard on the computer, trying to organize fans to help wash the floor, feeling extremely panicked and pacing back and forth. He just wants to discuss with Xia Feiyun and ask if he is in conflict with Miss Renmin. Can Xia Feiyun be recording a program or live streaming? He needs to find an opportunity to communicate with Xia Feiyun. The agent hastily picked up the things on the desktop and put them in his bag, rushing to the recording site. In the recorded car, no one spoke, and the atmosphere was quiet and awkward. Even the driver was infected by this atmosphere and dared not turn on the stereo. Their travel destination this time is a horse farm in the neighboring city, which requires a 2-hour ride. Since Anya said those words, their atmosphere has become incredibly condensed. At this moment, Anya has no idea how much turmoil her actions have caused. She only wanted to start with these small details and gradually reveal the true image of Xia Feiyun, hoping to restore Ji Yiren's love brain to a rational brain. She knew that doing so was cutting off the future golden finger of the female lead, but it was impossible for her to ignore Ji Yiren just because of this. Anyway, since she came into this world, the plot has already changed. If Ji Yiren's golden finger cannot help the female protagonist due to her own reasons, then she will have to bear it herself and make the golden finger for the female protagonist. Anya doesn't dislike the female lead, on the contrary, she admires her. The female protagonist's goal has always been clear, and she will strive to climb up whenever there is an opportunity, and her methods are not despicable or illegal. A person with correct values will receive respect from others. Another reason is that Anya is afraid that if she doesn't help the female lead develop according to the storyline, it will lead to the destruction of the world. Isn't there a lot of novels that describe it this way? The protagonist of this entertainment industry career article is the female lead. To avoid such incidents, she must take good care of the female lead. After Anya finished speaking, Xia Feiyun immediately apologized to Ji Yiren and Anya. But the two of them responded vaguely and quickly changed the topic, seemingly not accepting an apology. Although Ji Yiren still laughs at Xia Feiyun, she still has a resistance aura around her and avoids his physical contact. Anya, on the other hand, immediately acted coquettishly with Ji Yiren as soon as she got on the car, saying that she felt motion sickness and wanted to lie on top of her to sleep. So the two of them sat directly in the back row. Xia Feiyun sat in the front row with an ashamed expression on his face. Everyone dared not speak out, afraid of igniting the bomb that spoke astonishingly in the last row. The cameraman looked at the almost unchanged image in the machine with dedication. Among the 5 guests, perhaps only their car was so quiet throughout the journey. Several staff members lowered their heads to look at their phones. They thought the director would make them find a way to ease the atmosphere, but they didn't expect the director's side to be very quiet. The director didn't find it, they were overjoyed to see it. In the live broadcast room, there are constantly people attracted by hot searches coming in. Why is it so quiet? Is this a live broadcast? Can anyone tell me what's on the trending list? Hee, another melon eater. Laughing to death, you didn't read it wrong. It's currently live streaming, but you can come back in 2 hours. They are currently transferring the venue. Brother just said the wrong thing for a while. Don't keep holding on, who wouldn't say the wrong thing? Am I the only one curious about the origin of that Anya little sister? When she appeared, she only introduced herself as Ji Yiren's good friend and sister. Curious, this little sister's words were astonishing, revealing things that no one had expected. Actually, many times it can be problematic to think from a different perspective, but it always takes a while to figure out what's wrong. That's right, that's how I cry. Xia Feiyun is an introverted person. He is still an orphan without the support of his family. He will definitely feel inferior when facing a wealthy young lady. The nature of this matter is just a misunderstanding. Yes, Xia Feiyun is not easy either. A helpless orphan, a capitalist lady, you can tell who is the weak at first glance. Oh. The people in the live broadcast room responded mediocrely to the explanations from their fans. After all, the people who came later were only attracted by the hot search. They didn't come to be judges, they just joined the fun and ate melons. They would only think that the excitement was not big enough, and as long as they didn't step on the line, they didn't care about the truth, right or wrong of the matter. The traffic brought by hot searches continues to grow. The director, who watched as the data continued to grow, laughed uncontrollably again. No other live broadcast room has such a large number of silent viewers, so he certainly wouldn't shout for staff to ease the atmosphere. Chapter 8. Strange Sisters Flowers. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. The atmosphere of Xia Feiyun's group did not improve until they arrived at the racecourse and met with other guests. I don't know if it was a coincidence or something, they were the last group to arrive. The outdoor rest area of the racecourse is faintly divided into 4 groups of people. As the main guest of the program, Xia Feiyun is responsible for introducing Ji-Iren and Anya. Anya followed Ji and called out like a doll. Her attention has been focused on Xia Feiyun. After all, Anya is here to break up the little couple and must always keep an eye on Xia Feiyun in order to find fault with him as quickly as possible. After introducing each other, everyone didn't move and instead chose to sit still and chat. Ji-Iren was pulled by Anya to find a place to sit under the shade. Xia Feiyun originally wanted to ease ties with Ji-Iren in the past, but was pulled to speak by another guest and had to temporarily give up. As soon as Anya and Ji sat down, they were greeted by a quiet and elegant woman next to them. "Hello, if you want to go horseback riding, you can find the staff wearing black vests over there. She will take you there to prepare." Anya sat next to her, so she politely smiled and thanked her. "Thank you, Mrs. He." He Shui chuckled lightly and said, "You're welcome, you can just call my full name." He Shui is one of the main guests and the wife of the actor He Qian. He Qian's positioning as a program director is both supporting the scene and making up for it. The reason is simple, because He Qian was naturally indifferent and became popular throughout the country in his early years. He began to semi-retire in his 50s and return to his family. He is 59 years old this year, and his physique management is not outdated. He occasionally makes cameo appearances in some movies, but basically no longer takes commercial roles. There are 2 reasons why I am willing to come and support the situation this time. One is that he has an old acquaintance with the director. The second is He Qian's wife, He Shui, who is interested in this setting of making new friends and traveling around. He Shui is a quite talkative person. Seeing that Anya and Ji-Iren are not averse to their conversation, they started chatting. Next to him, He Qian looked at his wife with a gentle gaze and occasionally added a word. A few people chatted for a while, and someone got up to go horseback riding. He Shui also invited Anya to play. Ji-Iren saw the leap in He Shui's eyes and said, "Madam He, don't you plan to go?" He Shui looked at the horses in the distance and shook her head at last. "I'm really interested, but I'm already getting old and I'm afraid that something might happen later and ruin your fun." Speaking of this, Anya has a say. "I don't think it's a big deal. My body is not very good either. I had a fever a few days ago, but occasionally exercising is still good, and..." Anya looked around and her gaze quickly stopped in one position. She pointed the way to He Shui and said, "There are doctors waiting there. If you feel unwell, you can let them take a look immediately." In addition to the doctors provided by the production team, Anja also arranged for a doctor and several bodyguards to take good care of her. He Qian saw that his wife really wanted to give it a try. He spoke up and encouraged, "Let's go, I'll go with you. Didn't you envy my horse riding scenes before? You can give it a try now." He Shui was already restless, but the urge in her heart couldn't be suppressed by the people around her. "Let's go ride horses too. The 4 people here are going to ride horses, and of course Xia Feiyun is also following suit." As soon as they left, there were only 2 people left on the field, and they quickly followed suit. Many of the guests who came over had experience riding horses. 2 young flowers and students of similar age were preparing for a competition, and together with their family and friends, the 4 of them rode horses at a gallop. Both the original owner and Anya have no experience riding horses, so Ji accompanied Anya for a slow horse ride and walk in the small circle of the infield. Apart from Anya and Ji-Iren, there are also He Shui, He Qian, Xia Feiyun, another main guest Hua Yusen, and one of her circle friends Yu Qiu who stay in the small circle. Xia Feiyun once filmed a scene of horseback riding. With a basic understanding of horseback riding, he quickly rode his own horse and arrived next to Ji-Iren. The infield is not large, and Ji-Iren cannot directly confront Xia Feiyun. She also planned to investigate whether there were anyone else behind him, so when faced with Xia Feiyun's words, she began to respond with a mixed response. Xia Feiyun spoke cautiously with Ji-Yiren, not daring to say those ambiguous words, and tried his best to reduce the conversation with Anya. He didn't know what Anya meant by those words before, but after that incident, he knew that Anya was not easy to provoke. Xia Feiyun has only been dating Ji-Yiren for half a year, and in the past, he never took the initiative to inquire about Ji-Yiren's circle. Yesterday when we first met, we thought Anya was a naive neighbor girl, but now it doesn't seem like that at all. He knows that there may be controversy and questioning online now due to that conversation. But he can only believe that the agent can suppress the dispute. The only thing we can do at present is to make G people calm down. That's right, half a year of contact has made him very familiar with G people. Although this woman is very sensitive in business, she is quite slow in emotions. Moreover, my disguise is perfect. The other person is probably just feeling angry now. As long as I apologize in a good voice, they will definitely forgive me. The guests had almost no communication and were chatting with the people they brought. Suddenly, Hua Yusen and Yu Qiu collided with Anya and their companions on the same route. He Shui and He Qian, who were following Anya, quickly stopped and stared at Hua Yusen. Hua Yusen's face turned red and she apologized with a somewhat flustered expression. Sorry, we were just trying to have the staff let go and walk on their own, but the horse was a bit disobedient and the route got crooked while walking. Someone in the live broadcast room became unhappy. No, it's not intentional that even such a big road can be crooked. Everyone is a beginner, isn't it normal to cause problems without experience? Don't be so irritable, can you? Isn't that also Hua Yusen and Yu Qiu saying they want to leave on their own? Who are they blaming? I don't know if it's my illusion, but I always feel like these two people are intentionally confronting Xia Feiyun and his group. The live broadcast room was full of verbal battles, although it didn't make it to the trending list, it was still quite lively, and the director felt very relieved in his heart. He knew it was right to call Hua Yusen over. Hua Yusen is a small flower that has only become popular in recent years. She has a pure and innocent appearance, but she has caused a lot of news. As long as there are actresses of the same generation on her set, they will basically be dragged down by her team in writing a draft. Yu Qiu behind her is also a troublemaker, a person who lives in the entertainment journal for years. Occasionally, there are rumors of Yu Qiu being bullied by veteran actors on the set. Outsiders have mixed reviews of her, with many considering her a controversial victim. But the director is an insider in the industry, and the twists and turns in it are not entirely known, but can be partially guessed and understood. These two people are not good friends, and they seem to have some background. Otherwise, if they offended so many people, they would have been taken down long ago. And they are a bit strange, as long as they are on a variety show, they will definitely appear together. However, the director doesn't care, it's better to say that it suits his heart. He loves this kind of bundle sales where he loves to cause trouble and can choose one for free. Yu Qiu followed behind Hua Yusen diagonally, cleverly avoiding the camera. Anya clearly saw her roll her eyes towards her side. No, to be precise, it's facing the GE person next to her. Anya looked at this person and didn't understand why she had hostility towards Irene. Hua Yusen kept apologizing to them, but Anya carefully observed that the person remained motionless and apologized without taking action. Fortunately, the staff came over to lead their horses away. After this incident, Anya's enthusiasm for horseback riding dissipated completely. She pouted and coquettishly played with Ji-Yiren beside her. Iren's sister, I feel a bit tired. Ji-Yiren ignored Xia Feiyun's desire to be alone with her and said, okay, let me accompany you. I happen to be a bit tired too. Anya was indeed planning to have Ji-Yiren accompany her, but it should not be too obvious to let Xia Feiyun see her rejection of him. So she chose Cha-Yu and said, Iren, you don't have to accommodate me. I'm just a bit tired, and the doctor is waiting not far away. You can take another stroll with Xie Gu. A delicate and weak sick beauty in a strong and healthy man, Irene's sister should be able to choose. If it doesn't work, I'll just cough and feel dizzy. Let's see if her romantic brain is still popping up. Ji-Erin admits that she was indeed very romantic in the past, but after being hit hard by Anya's inner voice, she has been completely transformed. She suppressed her smile and sternly refused Anya's words. How can this work? We've all agreed to take you to play for a few days, and your health is not very good. How could I leave you alone? She turned around and asked Xia Feiyun, Yun, are you also thinking the same way? What else can Xia Feiyun say? He can only force a smile of agreement. That's right, this program is just for making friends and playing. We just follow our own pace. Anya, if you're not feeling well, don't hold back and say it. Anya nodded obediently and said, okay, I will. Thank you, Brother Xia. She came to the rest area outside the nearby guardrail with Ji-Erin. Xia Feiyun didn't follow because he was stopped by Yu Qiu. It is said that Hua Yusin is not very good at horseback riding and wants him to help teach. She also wants to rest for a while. Xia Feiyun's expression was very conflicted at the time. Finally, after looking at the cameras around him and the silent Ji-Erin standing beside him, he agreed. Xia Feiyun's original intention was to make Ji people jealous. Little did they know that Ji-Erin was estranged from him through the magical channel of An Yashin's voice. Ji-Erin, who emerged from emotions, is now very rational. Looking back on some of the ways in which the two of them interacted and had conversations in the past, there were always traces of him belittling himself. Ji-Erin now has a complete mentality of watching the clown play a farce under her own eyes. Chapter 9. Treating her as a fool. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Yu Qiu, who said she wanted to rest, quickly sat not far from them and warmly greeted them. Hello, can I call you Erin sister and ya sister? I thought you were so beautiful at first sight just now, and I really want to be friends with you. You won't refuse me, will you? Saying it was you, but Yu Qiu watched Ji speak throughout the journey. Oh, this man came to Miss Irene. Curious, why did these two sisters look at Miss Irene when Hua Yusin was just now in Yu Qiu? I'm really familiar with this routine. Anya's recently bored heart suddenly piqued her interest. She pretended to be curious and asked Yu Qiu, Miss Yu, was there anyone in the past who didn't want to make friends with you? Yu Qiu keenly sensed Anya's words and quickly waved his hand to explain. Anya won't care about her, just open her mouth before she explains. But isn't making friends a matter of mutual willingness? We are strangers, so it's understandable if the other person doesn't want to. I don't think the term refuse is suitable for making friends. As soon as Anya's words were spoken, fans of those who had been trampled on by Yu Qiu in the live broadcast room, as well as some people who didn't like her, quickly appeared. It's amazing. I've been tired of this green tea for a long time, and there's always a hint of green tea in my speech. That's right, my older sister used to be on the same crew as her and was actually rumored to bully her through the grapevine. It made me angry. That's the sister I raised from the show, she's so gentle. How could she possibly bully someone? I've heard of this before, it's Cheng XX, right? That little sister comes from a poor family and has a relatively low social status, so it's unlikely that she will bully others. The rumor that could be spread must be due to her own problems, and it's not Qiu spreading rumors. Do you feel so malicious towards Qiu? Are you fans of Yu Qiu accusing the victim of guilt? Even if it's not Yu Qiu spreading rumors, is her mouth mute? Is her hand broken? She won't refute the rumors. She's the main character in this matter. That's it. Anya, my human mouth is my substitute. In fact, many people understand this principle, but there is no capital to dare to face it head-on. Indeed, as long as one grows up, they will scrutinize various social customs and traditions. Nowadays, only 4 or 5-year-old children who say these things will not be scolded or will receive less scolding. Yeah, adults or older children who say this will definitely be criticized for having low emotional intelligence or being unable to speak fluently. Of course, it's not that Anya is so bad. If she can get to know Ji-Iren, she must also be a young lady. She already has the ability to expose malicious words. The debate in the live broadcast room has excited the broadcasters who have been following Anya, Ji-Iren, and Xie Feiyan. He controlled the fixed camera placed in the rest area and gave a close-up of the three people inside the venue. Yu Qiu still had a smile on his face, but his facial muscles were tense. Ji-Iren looked at Yu Qiu calmly, as if watching a farce. Anya stared earnestly at Yu Qiu, seemingly waiting for her reply. Some passers-by in the live broadcast room originally wanted to joke about a scene of three women, but couldn't help but see close-up shots of their faces. You said Anya was intentional, her small face, even enlarged into a close-up, was full of sincerity. Lazy people are a bit embarrassed to joke about it. They looked as if they were asking sincerely. The people in the live broadcast paused arguing and quietly watched the beauty critical strike. Actually, Anya is really curious. She has no impression of Yu Qiu's face. But I feel like I've seen this name before and I haven't seen it before. So, is this person a character that appears after the plot changes? Or is it that it was originally related to Xie Feiyan or Ji-Iren? Yu Qiu quickly controlled her facial muscles and showed an apologetic expression. I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. Someone has mentioned my issue before, and I really don't learn from it, haha. She originally just wanted to come and inquire. See if this woman is the type that Feiyan Go likes, and see if she is as stupid as Feiyan Go said. At present, foolishness is invisible, but it's true that the one around her is not easy to provoke. Yu Qiu has been following Hua Yusin for many years, knowing what kind of unruly temperament those wealthy and powerful ladies are. She quickly concluded that she couldn't provoke Anya and could only avoid her sharpness first, and then find an opportunity to test Ji-Iren. Yu Qiu pursed her lips and said, speaking of which, I'm a bit thirsty. Do you want something to drink? I'll go buy some drinks and come back. She's about to run away. So what did she come here for? It's really inexplicable. Anya shook her head and yawned wearily. Ji-Iren nodded politely at her and said, thank you. You don't need to bring us anything, we're not thirsty. Ji-Iren was not unaware of Yu Qiu's hostility towards her. In her own impression, she had never seen this person before, and only Xie Feiyan had an intersection with the entertainment industry. So she reasonably suspected that this was caused by Xie Feiyan. However, it's unclear whether his acting skills are perfect or if he really doesn't know these two people, so she can't see any problems at the moment. Yu Qiu stood up, just as Anya thought she was going to leave, she suddenly covered her microphone and whispered something to them. The distance is a bit far, and the weight of Anya and Ji people cannot be heard. Anya looked at Yu Qiu's receding figure and seemed to guess who this person was. %@UN #@amp. #*%. Ji-Iren was shocked by Anya's sudden foul language, but realized that she quickly regained her normal expression during the live broadcast. The people in the live broadcast room are all guessing what Yu Qiu said. Ji-Iren is curious about what Yu Qiugang's words really mean. I grew up in an orphanage, so I'm not very good at speaking. If you've been pampered since childhood, you should forgive me as a low-level person. This is what Yu Qiugang just said. It's quite creepy, but it shouldn't make Anya so angry, right? Unless this sentence is related to other things or contains other meanings. Ji-Iren's curiosity made her heart itch, but this time Yu Qiu's words really made Anya angry. A few minutes have passed, and Anya's heart is still constantly cursing. Ji-Iren couldn't help but look on her face. She coughed lightly to divert Anya's attention. Speaking of which, Yun doesn't know where he went. I didn't even see him in the infield. As soon as Xie Feiyan was mentioned as a scumbag, Anya quickly raised her guard. Her eyes scanned the interior like X-rays. In no time, Anya discovered Xia Feiyun and Hua Yusen jogging in the outfield with her own vision of 5.2. Arrogant. Irene's sister only got angry with Scumbag, and they haven't even calmed him down yet. Scumbag just fooled around with the mistress. This couple of dogs is really a perfect match for a prostitute and a thief. Ji-Iren captures keywords. Dog men and women. Male prostitutes and female thieves. Just now, Yu Qiu deliberately created opportunities for the two of them to get along, and even planned to come and help Hua Yusen apologize. It's really pitiful. Even though her fate was taken away by someone, she really recognized the thief as her younger sister. Ji-Iren. Ji-Iren seems to understand but doesn't understand. Is the mistress mentioned by Anya before Hua Yusen? Is Yu Qiu snatched away by Hua Yusen's own future? Suddenly, someone gave me a mouthful of something related to myself. Ji-Iren's gaze involuntarily drifted towards the two of them in the outfield. I thought this mistress only emerged after I married Xia Feiyun, but it turns out not. They really see themselves as idiots. Ji-Iren reflected, is her emotional response really slow and foolish? Stupid enough to make them feel like they wouldn't even notice them fooling around under her nose. Recalling the time spent with Xia Feiyun, especially yesterday when Xia Feiyun revealed that he wanted to propose to him. The happiness that emanated from the heart at that time seemed to have passed for a long time, so long that I doubted whether that feeling was an illusion. She even started to feel scared afterwards. If you haven't heard Anya's voice, if you haven't confirmed with your father, if you still trust Xia Feiyun, her final outcome is likely to be like what Anya said in her heart. Full of heart and eyes, filled with Xia Feiyun, happily married, and then continuously belittled by him, deceived into being their child's breeding tool, and finally used completely. Chapter 10. Digging out carrots and bringing out mud. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Anya didn't expect to encounter the third party who was not even mentioned in the plot on this variety show. She still associated it with Yu Qiu. This name has only appeared once throughout the text, and even Anya feels that her memory is really amazing. Because Xia Feiyun had no place to go abroad and immigrate, the female protagonist in the novel did not inquire about any further information. A month later, a big event came out in the entertainment and local business circles. The daughter of a large construction enterprise was found back, and she was a well-known flower in the entertainment industry named Yu Qiu. The problem is that this company recognized its own daughter more than a decade ago, but now it has produced another real daughter, which was actually the real daughter herself who exploded, similar to many true and false Qianjin essays in stories. Zhengqianjin accidentally drifted out of town and later grew up in an orphanage. Fake Qianjin is a friend of Zhengqianjin who grew up together in the orphanage. Fake Qianjin didn't know through what channels he found out about the true Qianjin's identity and pretended to be his replacement. Over the next decade, true Qianjin was kept as fake Qianjin's playmate until fake Qianjin wanted to enter the entertainment industry and also brought true Qianjin in. Ji's pupil's earthquake. In a sense, Xia Feiyun and Hua Yusen are indeed male prostitutes and female thieves. Men sell their bodies to marry themselves, while women steal someone else's identity and future. However, there are still many things that have shocked Ji-Iren even more. Later, fake Qianjin married a wealthy businessman and immigrated abroad. Fake Qianjin didn't know what attitude to hold and told the truth to the real Qianjin. The company didn't originally want to recognize the real Qianjin, and whether it was for profit or emotion, fake Qianjin was obviously a better choice. Upon seeing this, Zhen Qianjin immediately escalated the incident, leading to media delving into the matter and suggesting that Xia Feiyun was also involved. Then there was no news because they were all covered in their mouths. Ji-Iren did this, and she didn't stand steadily with the group at the time, afraid of involving herself. Anya couldn't help but sigh. As expected, those who approach vermilion are red and those who approach ink are black. Xia Feiyun, Hua Yusen, and Yu Qiu are all not good things. Hua Yusin used her family connections to bribe many people in advance, which made Uncle Ji unable to find his problem. Yu Qiu has a secret crush on a scumbag. In order to make his career in the entertainment industry smooth, he used the tiger skin of that company to frame many people. Scumbag is not a clean person, but it is obvious that Yu Qiu has acted as a scapegoat for him to be innocent. However, the MVP of the entire game still belongs to Ji Yiren. Anya quietly looked at Ji Yiren and saw her staring blankly at Xie Feiyun and Hua Yusin in the outfield, calling out for a good opportunity. Hey, aren't those Xie Gu and Miss Hua riding horses on the field? Why do they look so close? Have they known each other before? Anya thought for a moment, then turned to a righteous and indignant attitude and scolded Xie Feiyun. Xie Gu really has no sense of propriety, he just left Yiren Jia aside like this. My brother once said that men without male virtues are unreliable. Isn't Xie Gu also this kind of person? How's it going? I've taken out all the silly guys. You should know how unreliable Xie Feiyun is now, right? Anya didn't know that the reason why Ji Yiren's eyes were dull was because she doubted whether she had done too much wrong in her previous life, or whether she had suffered 8 lifetimes of blood mold in this life, which allowed her to encounter these 3 venomous snakes with inconsistent intentions. Among them, Xie Feiyun and Hua Yusin are the most poisonous. Ji Yiren sighed silently and did not comment on Xie Feiyun's behavior. She has become numb and even has decided to do more good deeds in the future, praying that she will never encounter such a despicable person again. Ji Yiren, the legitimate girlfriend, reacted with disappointment, and the people in the live broadcast were also dissatisfied with Xie Feiyun. Many people specifically went to Xie Feiyun and Hua Yusin's live broadcast room to spit out fragrance. A new entry has reappeared on the hot search. Hashtag Xie Feiyun. Men without male virtues are unreliable. Hashtag New Ji Yiren felt that she didn't need to spend time on Xie Feiyun anymore. The information just revealed by Anya is enough to help her understand what she most wants to know. It has nothing to do with the authenticity of the daughter's daughter. It was the local construction company that Anya only mentioned a few times that caught her attention. She remembered yesterday afternoon when she went to confirm the situation with her father, she saw several documents and reports on local construction companies uniting to seize group cooperation on the desk. The impact of such incidents on the group is negligible, and in her perception, her father would not take such incidents seriously. But this kind of behavior is a bit abrupt, so the person below still made a report and reported it. She speculated that in the future, as Anya mentioned, these companies may taste the sweetness and try to unite to crack down on the group swallowing more cooperation. Xie Feiyun put in a lot of effort to get close to himself, and the pusher behind him should be the family behind Hua Yusin. Once Xie Feiyun's dirty behavior towards her is exposed, there will definitely be doubts about her abilities from the outside world. Under internal and external troubles, we can only endure this bitter fruit. Ji Yiren sighed deeply and understood a truth. Yaya, I just realized now that I'm really too foolish. She never thought that business wars could still be played like this. Ji Yiren sneered at himself. That's not right, this is obviously the most common beauty trick, it's just a cover-up. Anya saw Ji Yiren's self-deprecating bitter smile, but she didn't expect her to jump to the point of self-deprecation and quickly comforted her. You haven't reached that level yet. Don't be sad, Irene. It's just a man. Just keep your eyes open and look for him again next time. Your financial talent is very strong, we should be self-reliant and not feel inferior for emotions. Don't be too foolish for being humble in love. Everyone is an independent individual, and no one can survive without them. One's own life, is more important than anything else. Ji Yiren couldn't help but cry and laugh. Although she sighed not for emotional inferiority, but for her own foolishness, she gladly accepted Anya's heart. You're right, don't worry, I won't be controlled by feelings that are not worth it anymore. Ji Yiren looked at the racetrack not far away, feeling light-hearted. I have no reason to waste time here anymore. The clown's play should come to an end. Due to the 2-hour drive over, the morning time quickly passed. After finishing the lunch prepared by the production team, the live broadcast room was temporarily closed. Ji-Erin took Anya to the head of the program team and applied to withdraw from the program. The director was originally enjoying a sumptuous meal and preparing to take a good night's sleep, but ended up being slapped in the head. He walked out of a room on the racecourse and hurried to the meeting room to meet Ji-Erin. "Miss Ji, are you dissatisfied with any arrangement of this program? Just let me know and I will try my best to cooperate." The emotional issue between Ji-Erin and Xia Feiyun is currently the most curious and controversial event among the audience in the program. Her friend Anya, who she brought with her, constantly asked sharp questions, which also brought a lot of attention to the program. If the two suddenly withdraw, the popularity of the program will definitely decrease. "Director Wan, I think you misunderstood." Ji-Erin sat calmly on the sofa and looked at the person by the door. "I am participating in this program as Xia Feiyun's girlfriend, and now this identity is about to disappear. I also have important things to do next, and it is inevitable to withdraw from the program." Director Wan gritted his teeth and closed the door, sitting opposite the two. "Can't we really discuss it again? Miss An can stay alone, and I will change the group for Miss An. What's going on over there?" However, Ji-Erin's attitude is firm and there is no room for negotiation. "Yaya is my guest, I couldn't have placed her on such a dangerous program." Ji-Erin's words have already revealed that she is going to have a falling out with Xia Feiyun. What can Director Wan do? He can't do anything because the friends brought by the main guest can be changed at any time. Finally, I could only cover my heart and watch the two of them leave the meeting room with tears in my eyes. The three of them were unaware that Xia Feiyun was searching everywhere for Ji-Erin and Anya.